What's up everyone, Praful here. Welcome back to another episode of the 915 Daily. Today is Tuesday, 4th of November, and today we had Nifty's weekly expiry. It was one of the very rare expiries where option buyers as well as option writers would have made decent amount of money. Today's expiry was without any much of option premium spikes, but the markets did show a downtrending move all the way from 25,750 levels to 25,600 levels. This is something I've been noticing over the past couple of months. Most of the trading days, almost 80% of the trading days, the markets are either closing towards the day's high or towards the day's low. This becomes very important because these kinds of closes prompt the option writers or the positional traders to actually take their positions in the direction of the market's close, expecting the gap in the direction of the close. But even a small gap against these traders would suddenly change the trend over the next day. Yesterday also the same thing happened. We closed almost towards the day's high, but today a small gap down immediately reversed the trend and we almost saw a clean downtrending day. And over the last 4 or 5 sessions, I'm noticing that the spot wall correlation has turned positive. Generally, for equity markets, the spot wall correlation is negative. What do I mean by that? Whenever the spot moves higher, the walls actually move lower, and whenever the market moves lower, the walls actually increase or the walls actually spike up. When I say walls, you can consider India VIX as a proxy for walls. Even today, the markets also ended in red and India VIX also ended in red. Yesterday, the markets closed in green and so did India VIX. Actually, India VIX had shot up 5% yesterday when the markets had closed in green. Generally, 95% of the time, the spot wall correlation is negative for equity indices. Again, tomorrow is a market holiday and the next trading day, we have Sensex expiry. So let's get to the terminal and let's analyze our trading plan for Thursday. All right, if we analyze the Nifty's daily chart, yes, we are still around this breakout and retest level, but this kind of a Marubozu candle towards the downside is not a good sign, especially considering the fact that tomorrow is a holiday, and if at all we see even some minor negative news from the global front, we might be opening somewhere around here, and then probably again this breakout would be deemed failed. So yes, next Thursday का close बहुत important हो जाएगा, but as of now I would consider this candle to be a shakeout candle, considering the fact that the spot wall correlation is positive, because in spite of seeing a very solid red candle, the VIX has actually dropped and there has been a cool off in the monthly contracts. So this kind of gives me an indication that the downside is kind of limited, and if at all we open a gap up, then this low would be sealed as the low and probably the retest actually might be on the way and the retest might happen and then probably we might head higher. But if at all we see a down candle or a down opening, gap down opening, then probably we might have to reassess the entire thing, because यहाँ पे the first approach is always the initiative buyers. यहाँ पे initiative buyers आ चुके हैं and most of the time ये जो initiative buyers especially towards the close, जो भी buyers buy करके लेके जाते हैं, तो those stop losses would be around this level, because this candle is a technically important candle, because यहाँ पे एक green candle भी form हो चुका है especially at the breakout and a retest level. So most of those guys have been shaken out today. So if at all this is just a shakeout candle, then most probably we should gap up and we should start heading higher, and within couple of sessions the high of today should be taken out. If that doesn't happen and if we break this low and if we break 25,500 levels probably within 1 or 2 sessions, then probably we should consider the possibility that this fake breakout is not a breakout but a fake out. अगर हम लोअर टाइम फ्रेम पे बात करें तो एज आई सेड टुडेज एक्सपायरी वाज काइंड ऑफ स्पाइकलेस एक्सपायरी. कोई भी ऑप्शन प्रीमियम्स पे स्पाइक नहीं था, इवन स्ट्रैडल प्रीमियम्स पे भी स्पाइक नहीं था. इट वाज अ वेरी डिसेंट ऑप्शन trading day for both the buyers as well as the sellers. So we opened a minor gap down, and right from the open within the first 15-20 minutes we broke 25,700 levels, and this low was kind of held. After that for the almost 3 hours there was some sort of a range contraction, because 700 के आसपास around 30 points on the upside and 30 points on the downside there was a decent range contraction, and काफ़ी ज़्यादा टीटा डीके यहाँ पे realize हो चुका था, because almost 3 hours market एक 25,700 के आसपास ही होवर कर रहा था. तो lot of 25,700 straddle writers would have made a decent amount of money, and towards the end of the day we saw some sort of a selling where there was a decent 100-point move, and of course option writers would have been prudent enough to actually get out of their puts at this point. तो जैसे यहाँ पे breakdown हो गया तो then of course there was some amount of option spike, but towards the end it exactly closed exactly at 25,600 levels. This is also some sort of a rarity over the last couple of months because last 2-3 महीने से markets exactly middle दो strike के बीच end हो रहे थे, and after a long time we have seen a picture perfect round number close. So open interest की बात करें तो open interest of course a lot of straddles would have developed, but अगर वॉल्स की बात करें तो इट वॉज अ क्लीन डाउन ट्रेंडिंग डे. कोई भी स्पाइक नहीं था, बिल्कुल स्पाइक नहीं था. यू कैन सी दैट देयर वॉज एब्सोल्युटली नो स्पाइक, बट टुवर्ड्स द एंड यहाँ पे एक माइनर ब्लिप आपको देखने को मिला व्हेन द डे स्लो वॉज ब्रोकन. डे स्लो एंड एस्टरडे स्लो जब एक बार टूटा देयर वॉज अ माइनर स्पाइक. इतना भी मतलब इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं था बिकॉज 50 से 60 गया एंड दिस स्पाइक वॉज इमीडिएटली कंज्यूम्ड विद इन लेट्स से लेस देन 5 minutes. Again the straddle low was broken. So it was a very easy day, kind of a rarity for option writers over the past few months because option writers have been tested with both side moves, but today was some sort of a benevolent day. Even personally I had a decent outing. I think I closed somewhere around 1% on my capital. So अगर थर्सडे की बात करें we've got a decent premiums on Sensex, but I think that premiums are considering the fact that tomorrow is a market holiday and वो जो global news की uncertainty को markets price in किया है. So we have closed somewhere around 522 on a 1DTE. So most probably we might be opening somewhere around 440 or 450 on the expiry day on Thursday, which is a decent kind of a premium. अगर open interest की बात करें Sensex पे तो Sensex के open interest पे yes, lots of straddles have been written somewhere around 83,500 levels. Especially आज maximum जो straddles जो build हुआ है 83,500 पे. Generally Sensex पे positional trade ज़्यादा carry forward नहीं होता है, so mostly 1DT and 2DT पे ही Sensex पे volumes आता है. And today a lot of straddles have been built. 84,000 का calls भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा right हो चुके हैं and at the same time 83,000 पे puts भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा right हो चुके हैं. तो the participants are expecting the expiry between 84,000 and 83,000. If not the expiry, but at least the open should be between 83,000 and 84,000 provided that we don't receive some sort of a news over the tomorrow's holiday. So थर्सडे का ट्रेड अगर प्लान करेंगे तो अगेन 3 सिनेरियो निकल के आते हैं. तो मेरे हिसाब से वन इज अ गैप डाउन ओपनिंग. अगर एक बड़ा गैप डाउन ओपनिंग हो जाता है तो निफ्टी में दिस इज लाइक अ फेक आउट पैटर्न ऑन अ लार्जर टाइम फ्रेम बिकॉज निफ्टी में देयर वाज अ ब्रेकआउट रीटेस्ट एंड अभी हम लोग ऑलमोस्ट यहाँ पे बॉर्डर पे है. तो इफ वी स्टार्ट ब्रीचिंग विद इन दिस रेंज अगेन तो देन मोस्ट प्रोबेबली दिस will be used as some sort of a resistance for the call writers. तो अगर gap down खुलता है तो I'll be waiting for the markets to test today's low and I'll be using this pullback to actually short the calls with SLs above this swing. And अगर flat open होके within the first 15 minutes अगर market ये लोग को breach करता है intraday के price action के through, then probably I'll actually trade in the direction of the trend. अगर एक बड़ा गैप खुलता है then of course I'll be waiting for the markets to actually again hit today's low and then expect a bounce from here. So again it is very important where we're gonna open and irrespective of where we're gonna open I'm expecting some sort of a volatile trading day, volatile expiry on Sensex because today's Nifty expiry would have induced a lot of FOMO among all the traders who would have missed today. So those traders would definitely increase their position size on Sensex expiry and I'm expecting those people to be trapped. So I'm expecting some sort of a volatile expiry on Sensex on Thursday. But अगर एक बड़ा gap खुलता है, like if at all we get some sort of a positive news and if we open a huge gap, almost let's say 500 points से ऊपर अगर gap खुलता है Sensex पे, then I'll be waiting for the initial balance to form for the first 45 minutes and making this initial balance as the range, I'll be trading the range breakout. जब भी अगर first initial balance के 1 hour का upside break होता है, then I'll be taking some sort of a upside trade and if we break towards the downside then I'll be shorting the calls. So that is my plan of action. And अगर एक बड़ा gap down खुल जाता है which is in my opinion is a low probability event, but again एक बड़ा gap down खुल जाता है then I'd be using the first tick to actually short a lot of these OTM puts. अगर 83,000 के आसपास अगर हम खुल जाता है तो then 82,500 puts, 82,700 puts they will be available at decent premiums and most probably synthetic future भी एक negative bias के साथ open हो जाएगा and suddenly there will be a repricing of premiums and उसको मैं use करके most probably I'll be shorting some puts which will give me a decent risk reward because एक बड़ा gap down open होने के बाद there will be a lot of traders who would have carried forward some short positions or put long positions because the markets have closed exactly at the day's low. तो वो लोग पहले प्रॉफिट बुक करेंगे एंड उसके हिसाब से मार्केट्स शुड पुल बैक, एंड ये पुल बैक के बाद मार्केट कहाँ कंटिन्यू करेगा वो डिसाइड होगा. तो इफ अट ऑल वी ओपन अ बिग गैप, आई एम गोना यूज दैट बिग गैप टू शॉर्ट सम पुट्स, of course with a strict stop loss. That's my plan of action for Thursday, guys. I'll see you again post markets on Thursday after Sensex expiry. Till then, take care. Bye bye.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Please read the risk disclosure documents carefully before investing in equity shares, derivatives, mutual fund, and or other instruments traded on the stock exchanges.